What is going on, Jets Nation? I am your host, Wesley Sykes, and we are live with the crew of Flight 5 Live. I am joined by my co-host to my left at #Frank.
What is up, people?
We got the Jets on the clock very soon, about to pick at 39. We know Giovanni Bernard's taken off the board. We know Manti Te'o just got selected by the San Diego Chargers. We got tons of Jets news coming your way. We're going to be giving you that pick live, tuning in from our show with the live feed on the television. We're going ghetto style here, and we're going to make it happen. We're excited. We had a great time at our U Stadium, our sister networks event at Stout, New York City for the NFL Draft, where the Jets selected D. Milliner, 9th overall, to replace Darrelle Revis, and took the 13th selection, spent it on defense again, taking defensive tackle Sheldon Richardson from the University of Missouri. So, Frank, what do you think, man? What do you think of all this action that we got going on here?
Listen, man, a lot of Jet fans aren't, too happy with these picks, but the picks, they're not that bad. I mean, they're really not. D. Milliner was a little iffy with the D. Milliner pick. I know that. It was not what we wanted. But I love the Sheldon Richardson pick. I really do. Sheldon Richardson is a beast. And if you look at what Idzik did was he got the best player available. Now, this tells me a couple things, that with D. Milliner, he's not coming in here to replace Darrelle Revis. He was just the best player available. On Idzik's board, so was Sheldon Richardson. I would have rather, obviously, have addressed some offensive needs, but in the long run, what this is telling me is we're rebuilding. We're trying to just get the best pieces we can to move forward, with or without Rex Ryan. A lot of people think that the picks were because of Rex Ryan. That's questionable. I mean, he's under the impression, Idzik, that he wants to do a draft with the best players available. So that's what he did. I'm not a big fan of Milner for the Jets, but as a corner, he's pretty good. He reminds me of Carlos Rogers a lot. And D. Milner, if you look at him, he led the SEC in pass breakups. Very good. And Sheldon Richardson was in the SEC too. Missouri just got bumped up that year, and he was the interior defensive lineman who led the SEC in tackles. He had 72 total tackles.
Listen, you can't complain with that, but as we get to the Jets on the board, we're hearing a lot of people talk right now about whether the Jets are going to take Geno Smith at 39th overall. He's still on the board. You got Ryan Nash.
Get him, get Geno.
Well. I believe Eddie Lacy is still there as well. So there's a lot of options for the Jets on the offensive end to still address. I know we're talking.
I'm pissed. Zach Ertz was picked.
Zach Ertz,
yes, he was picked. He went to the Eagles.
Well, good. You don't get Dustin Keller 2.0 there. You save your money on Travis Kelce a little bit in the third round there, or even Gavin Escobar, Vance McDonald. There's tons of tight end options here today. But a lot of craziness going on. We're very excited to be here. We hope that you're enjoying yourselves with us. We're only half of the flight crew today. The other half was a little too hungover to come out here and join us. So me and Frank are picking up the pace here. He's beating. You can see the beads of sweat.
I am sweating. I'm beating.
Right
I'm beating.
But just to break a little bit of news here that was already reported by Brian McIntyre today. We got Jabricker Ferguson, the Jets left tackle, restructuring his contract to shave $5.1 million in cap space this year. And we're going to go live right now as the Jets are going to make the selection with, I believe, Hofstra alum Wayne Corbett making the announcement.
Please welcome from Hofstra University, an undrafted free agent in 1995, wide receiver Wayne Corbett.
Come on, Wayne. Come on our show, man. You know he doesn't want to come on our show, right?
I don't know.
We've reached out to him a ton of times.
You know how often I used to drink at his bar, Corbett, at Hofstra?
With the 39th pick in the
oh, man.
NFL draft, the New York Jets select Geno Smith.
Yeah!
Smith,
yeah! There we go!
The West
Virginia.
There we go. The West Virginia.
There we go. That is a pick. That is a pick. Anthony, get the camera on me real quick. Yes, yes. How you like me now? Perfectly said. The Jets made the move that they needed to make. This draft is awesome right now. We had the best player available on their board with Milner and Sheldon Richardson, and I thought to myself, we're not addressing the offense. We're not, and we need to, and a quarterback can change everything. To get Sheldon Richardson, D. Milner, and Geno Smith in one draft, the Jets have the best draft right now in the NFL. I like what the Ravens did with Elam. We'll see what they do now, but this pick, Geno Smith, is unbelievable right now. This is the move the Jets need. Mark Sanchez's era is done. Get rid of it. Tebow, I love you, man, but he's out. David Garrard, have fun backing up a G. Now, Geno Smith might not be ready to come in and start right away, but listen, man, you're talking about a West Coast guy who runs a West Coast offense, gets rid of the ball fast, does not flinch in the pocket, stays up strong, leader, works hard. Guy was a poetry major, well-spoken. Yes, he studies hard. I love this pick.
Well,
Jets,
Frank, you know what?
This draft
I'm really
is awesome.
happy that you have a lot of love and a lot of affinity for this pick. I'm going to happen to take the opposite approach for you. I hate this pick at 39. There's a reason why Geno Smith fell down to 39 after being considered a consensus top 5 pick, a consensus top quarterback pick in this draft. This is a guy who's come from a system quarterback, a Mike Leach system, a fun and gun offense, a gimmick offense, so to speak. The guy's got small hands, and what's the biggest thing that Mark Sanchez, biggest complaint on Mark Sanchez is that he turns the ball over and he fumbles the ball too much. Well, I got news for you folks. Geno Smith, 30+ career fumbles over his career.
We got him in the second round.
He's a gimmick quarterback.
He's not a gimmick anything. Look at these throws.
Down here.
Look at these throws.
He's not a gimmick. Awful pick. You still got to
an awful pick.
Tight end. I hate this pick. I gotta tell you, with a lot of emphasis. I don't like this pick at all.
Geno Smith.
I'll tell you what, Adam Schefter called it, and this is something that's been very linked to the Jets the whole time. We'll see if it's the right move in the long run, but these sort of things you can't tell. But
look at this guy,
Frank.
Look at this guy.
Like you said, this guy's not a starter day one. He's not even a starter year one. So if he's gonna have to come in and take the reins early on, you're gonna expect a lot of tough starts for this team.
I'm not even kidding. I want Jets Nation to know this right now. JETS. We are building right now a team that has the potential down the line to legitimately, I'm not even kidding, contend for a Super Bowl. I'm not even joking. With Rex Ryan running that top 10 defense, Geno Smith, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. We're going to take a call right now, too. What is good?
It's like 5 Live. What's going on, man?
Geno.
Hello, can we hear you?
We can't hear you, but I heard Geno.
Geno.
You're damn right. About time we adjust this quarterback. This pick is awesome, man. Awesome.
What do you think of this pick? You like Geno Smith or what? Is this a good pick? I'm sorry, we're going to cut you off. We're going to go into the live feed of the Jets talking to Geno Smith right now. Thank you very much for your call. We're happy that you're very excited to draft Geno Smith.
Congratulations, Geno. Enjoy New York. Geno Smith, the new New York Jets quarterback.
All right, well, we just missed Geno Smith talking to Adam Schefter. He's very excited to be a part of the Jets, as are most Jet fans. I am not in the minority in that. But you know what? They drafted a quarterback. This was a huge need for this team, whether anyone wanted to admit it or not. And now the onus is on Mark Sanchez, David Garrard, Tim Tebow, and Greg McElroy. They're all being put on notice right now that they got to step their game up and they got to come out and they got to perform from day one. None of you talk about the competition being influxed and infused into the whole lineup and the whole roster. Yep. You just got that competition. Whether I think he's a good guy or not, this is a highly touted name. This is a guy who comes in with a lot of hype to him. He actually has a little more production to him than a Tim Tebow does, I would say. He's a little bit more to offer there. So this guy is going to be drive Mark Sanchez to the core.
You're going to leave New York. Now you're in New York for good, but why was it important for you to stay tonight?
You know, the importance for me to stay was just because, you know, first of all, I have a lot of family, a lot of people who, you know, stand behind me and who have supported me my entire career. And, you know, I just wanted to stay here and represent all of them on this stage today.
So what about the New York Jets? You ready to compete with Mark Sanchez for that starting spot?
Compete my ass.
Go in there and try and win a starting job.
Compete.
Aaron Rodgers,
compete with Mark Sanchez. You got to be out of your mind.
And he said, you know, good things come to those who wait. What did that mean coming from that guy?
You know what? I knew that all along, and that's you know, something that I had stressed in my interviews. And you know, I'm picked now, so I'm on the team, and it's time to go, man. I'm just excited.
All right, so you got anything to say to all these Jets fans out here?
Oh, yeah, man. We're coming in, man. I'm proud to be a Jet. And, we're coming in. We're going to the playoffs next year.
They're all out
There we go.
right?
That is
wow.
my dude. I love this guy.
All right.
I love this
Geno
guy.
Smith just making a little bit of breaking news here. If you didn't happen to catch that interview, at the end of it, at the tail end, Geno Smith just told ESPN reporter, who I can't see from the screen right there, but just told that the Jets are going to be making the playoffs. We want to hear your reactions. We want to get immediate fan reactions. Please give us a call at 914-595-4871. Tweet us definitely at 5, at the number 5, the letter N, and live. Or give us a Skype. We want to see your beautiful faces, especially you, Hans. I'm talking to you specifically, at Zadelza NY. Let's hear it. Jets Nation, stand behind your new quarterback, whether you like him or not. This is going to be a great day after kind of a mixed bag day one, and we'll get into that in a moment on these over first impression day one grades. But we're talking about Milner, we're talking about Sheldon Richardson. These were the two guys, like you said, Frank, who were at the top of the Jets board with some of their top players that they had rated there, and then they still are able to go out and get in what many see as the best quarterback available in Geno Smith at a second round, taking a flyer on him, if you will. Listen, at 39, I don't have a problem with the Geno Smith thing as much. I guess I'm still a little bit undecided about it. I still think that there's quarterbacks that can be taken that are going to be able to carry the load that may work out better than Geno Smith. What do you think, Frank?
Listen, all I have to say is this. I wanted Geno Smith 9 because we need to address the quarterback position. If you get a quarterback, he can make instantly he can make everybody that much better. Running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. And if he can move, he can even make the Wayne Hunters, the real bodies, he can make them even not look as bad because he kind of avoids pressures. I wanted Geno at 9. I wanted him at 13. We got him at 39. And we got the two best players available, according to John Idzik, one of which I love is Sheldon Richardson. And the other one, D. Milner, I really like, just not particularly for the Jets because of the offensive deficiencies of the
Let's
Jets.
get into that. What are your day one grades of the first two picks that they got?
Day one grade, B-. Day two grade, right now, I don't even care if we get in the third round. We can get rid of our third round pick as far as I'm concerned. Right now, day two, an A. A B-, you are at what? An A-.
Yeah.
Jets draft right now is at an A-.
That's not too bad. I'm not too pleased with the first round picks. I love Sheldon Richardson. I love the versatility that he brings, the flexibility he brings. Rex Ryan talks about that all the time on both sides of the ball, but especially on defense. Being able to have Sheldon Richardson, Quentin Coples, Muhammad Wilkerson, and that kind of NASCAR defense, quote unquote, that the Giants kind of labeled as that helped him out to win their 2 Super Bowls. But you look at those guys that are interchangeable parts. You can have Wilkerson play at the inside, Sheldon Richardson on the outside, Coples in the nose, Coples on the end. You can stand him up. You can have him on the 2 gap. You have him 3, 5 technique, 3 technique. There's a lot of other options that you can do with this, guys. And I've been saying this for the entire length of this NFL draft process. You build a team from the inside out. They must feel strongly about their offensive line, and they're building up their defensive line to be the strongest unit on that team with Carl Dunbar behind there.
Carl Dunbar.
I think that's going to be one of their strong suits. When we get to Milner, that's someone I have a bit of an issue with. I think it definitely helps that he comes from a national championship team. Out of the last couple of years that he was there, he was a 2 or 3 year starter. The guy's a warrior. He plays through injuries. He plays hurt. He does have a lot of surgeries under his belt. That's a negative. But this is a guy who's a Nick Saban coach, coached by Nick Saban, I should say. Excuse me. This guy has a lot of pressure. He can handle the big-time situations, which can only bode well for him coming into New York. But my one concern is that he's going to have to lease out land, so to speak, on Revis Island. He's going to be expected to come in and be that man corner,
that's the problem.
that coverage corner, and he's always going to have to live up to those expectations. Pressure. That's something that a player does not need, especially because you talk about this a lot with these veteran guys who've been around the league for so long and now are in the media, the Jaws, the Damian Woodies, all these guys. It says they kind of resent these rookie players who come in and get hyped up, and they're kind of built up to be almost godlike, these demigods who are just built up and praised for 3 or 4 months, and then they come down and they got to get chopped back down by their coaches, by their veterans, to say, hey, you're a rookie. You're no better than the guy who's just signed, who was undrafted. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles that with the expectations on him. But like I said, the guy went through pressure. He handled the big situation. Alabama football, that's all there is. There's NASCAR, there's football, and there's Auburn football there, and that's a close third at this point right now. So Alabama, the end-all, be-all, the guy's been there. He can handle it.
Ninja Johnny has
doing
done
it,
it
man.
yet again.
And what's amazing about it is everything is kind of going under the radar. I know that everyone was talking about Geno and the Jets and everything like that, but still there was an outside possibility where no one was really known for certain.
Yeah, the thing I love about what Ninja Johnny pulled off is nobody thought Geno Smith was going to fall to 39. And then you had rumors earlier today that we're going to trade up in the second round to get Geno Smith. He stood his ground, and he drafted Geno Smith. Now, something else I want to say, from Geno Smith's perspective as a football player, you knew that nobody wanted you in the first round. Now, it's the second round. You're a second-round player. You get picked. He has added motivation.
a chip on the shoulder.
Exactly. And that's what makes certain quarterbacks great. I'm telling you guys right now, Geno Smith was saying how he wants to be the next Joe Namath and bring a Super Bowl to New York. We are right now, Jet fans. I know this, you don't want, you can't even think of this. Not you don't want, you want to think of this because what I'm about to say. You might not accept it. Jet fans, right now, the Jets have turned the corner right now from being the joke of the NFL, where people laugh and say, "Oh, typical Jets," like they do with the Mets, to a contender. The 2010 to 2020, that era, that 10 years, we went to an AFC Championship game in 2010. Down year in 11 and 12, we're gonna come back up. We're gonna build off our 2009 and 10 seasons where we went to AFC Championship games, which again wasn't that long ago. We went to AFC Championship games 4 years ago. It's not like we went like 20 years ago, like some teams. The Cowboys haven't won a playoff game since what, 95? I mean, you're talking about the Jets have done great things since 2009 in terms of 2 AFC Championship games. We kind of fell back because of Mark Sanchez. This guy, Geno Smith, even if he's not as great as maybe I'm talking to him up to be, he is so much better than Mark Sanchez that you're just not going to have that deficiency so apparent at the quarterback position. Team that up with a Rex Ryan defense, not to mention D. Milner and Sheldon Richardson, who are great. Sheldon Richardson's awesome, by the way. He was ranked 7th on Mike Mayock's top 100, so he's really good. But
my question
back,
here
man,
on Geno Smith is that you said there he has that chip on the shoulder from dropping from a top 5 pick into the second round in the 30s. And for every player every Aaron Rodgers that has a chip on his shoulder because of that, I can name you Brady Quinns that shook their confidence and they don't have it left. This is a guy who was pouting on national camera, who was all upset and was going to leave the draft because no one took him until he was given some sort of reassurance from some team, which is apparently the Jets, that they were going to take him. And then suddenly he's all happy and coming back to be there. We're talking about Mark Sanchez being a whiner and being a guy who complains too often and doesn't take the onus on himself. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm starting to see early on with
you think
Geno Smith from just that reaction. Yeah, that's not something that wins me over as a sports fan. You got to be a little more stoic. You got to have a little more self-assurance than that.
I disagree.
Yeah?
From the self-assurance perspective, I kind of agree with you. He comes across as a little bit, he makes himself out to be a little more cocky than he actually is, saying these bold things at times.
Well, now you got to look at this Nolan Narakis guy a little bit closer. Now, for all Jet fans, you have to pay a little more attention to what he said in those reports. Negative reports that he sees a lot of Cam Newton in him, a guy who's not a general team leader, a guy who doesn't take a lot of responsibility in the overall play of his team. He's a guy who just doesn't really love the game of football too much. These were all things that were brought up in that Naraki report, which is again the same issues that fans gripe and groan about Mark Sanchez. So is this the guy? Is he that much of a difference though?
You can look in Gene. You can look
at
the
fact of the day is that we don't know. We won't know.
All right, do you know when you look at a guy and he's beaten up, like we're saying, beating when you're sweating like you have beads? Yeah. You could tell he's kind of not like the confident guy. You know, girls are the best at. They can tell you're not that confident. Right. You know what I mean? Speaking of women, we'll talk about the U Stadium NFL draft party last night. Was unbelievable. Listen, man, if I could party with the crew of people that were at that event every weekend, I'd be completely fine with it.
Oh man, we got to set something.
But we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
and we're gonna show you guys a video on it.
I don't want to get too excited on it. But
what I was gonna say is, you know, when you could see a guy and you could tell if they're confident, or see a girl, as a matter of fact, you just tell someone's confidence, right? You just tell. Geno Smith is confident. Mark Sanchez is not. Mark Sanchez beads up. In interviews, he's always sweating. He's always worried. Like, oh yeah, he's looking around.
Would you say
Geno
that
Smith is a confident guy?
Cam confident.
Sort of. He's almost like a false confidence. Like
Because
he's
that's
sort of
what
like
they're
comes
comparing him
out
to, not to Mark Sanchez. They're
He's more
comparing him
humble
to
than
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. Cam Newton's always flashy. He does his stupid Superman thing. He's always talking himself up. Geno Smith is confident. I'm telling you, he's genuinely confident. He's going to come in that locker room as a second-round pick. Sanchez came in that locker room as a 5th overall pick. You're going to have players that are going to be hating on him a little bit, just saying, "Oh, look at this hot shot. We traded up to get you, really? All 6'1" of you? Like, oh yeah, big whoop on that one." But you look at Geno Smith coming in as a second-round pick. He's going to get the love of that locker room. We spoke to a player last night at the U Stadium draft event who said that he wanted Geno Smith.
Yeah, that's right.
We spoke to a player who wanted Geno Smith, a really good player on the Jets. Said, "I want Geno Smith," and we got Geno Smith. And I'm telling you, the tide's turning, Jet Nation.
But what's interesting is that they essentially got 3 first-round picks out of this. You look at Richardson, you look at Milliner, and now Geno Smith, who fell in the second round. But those are all top 10 talents by a lot of the guys who are well respected in these mock draft sort of things. Which is another thing that we'll get into is how far off McShay and Kuiper were on this draft. We'll get into that a little later. But I mean, by most regards, by people who are well respected in that draft community, these are top 10 picks on most accounts. So to be able to get those 3 guys as spread out as they were, I think that's a good job. Do I think that's necessarily the best fit? You talk about the Jets taking the best player available. If that works out in the long run, it's just so tough to kind of give this immediate reaction and be so on the fence, or be so definitive rather, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. This guy could have a great first 2 years and blow his knee out, and then God forbid something like that happens, we never see him again. There's a lot of things that you don't really know that take into account. You hope that it's going to work out, and you hope for the best, but you got to keep in mind that there's still a lot of time out on this stuff. We were talking about Muhammad Wilkerson, how great of a player that he turned into, but after his rookie year, were people that high on him?
Yeah.
He was a guy who didn't really show that flash, didn't have that burst, didn't have the huge numbers that really
that outside
popped out
pass
on you
rush that you really look for.
Right, but in the second year, you start to see him emerge. Now you're expecting he's a boss. You expect him to be one of the leaders of this team, of this defense. And the same could be said about Quentin Coples, who came on strong at the end of last year. So I think you're starting to see as the level of talent grows in the NFL, and that the more collegiate players become more NFL ready, I should say. That these players are going to be able to hop in. You're going to be able to see more immediate dividends.
Yeah.
Not on a 2 to 4 year window, but more of like a 6 week to full season window.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Milner too. It's even going to be ready for training camp. I mean, there's rumors that he's going to come in.
He's supposed to be ready for training camp, not OTAs. He's still rehabbing that torn labrum.
Because that brings up a point where, it's going to bring up a point down the line. How good is he going to be his first couple games? He might start struggling. And with the added pressure that, a departure of Darrelle Revis brings upon Milner, it's interesting. I mean, you have Mike Mayock, who actually said this straight out, that, essentially what the Jets did was traded Darrelle Revis, Darrelle Revis for D. Milner and a 3rd-round pick in 2014.
Right.
And, you made a point before, it wasn't necessarily Milner, it was Sheldon Richardson.
But
they wouldn't have gotten Milner. They wouldn't have gotten Milner 9. They probably would have gotten Sheldon Richardson 9 if Revis was still on the team.
Right.
So it becomes a Milner thing. I love Milner because he's so freaking aggressive. He does not have the hip flexibility as Darrelle Revis. You watch him off the line against a wide receiver who's getting out of his break. He doesn't break it with the wide receiver. He doesn't mirror the wide receiver like Darrelle Revis. I don't think anybody does. Let's be quite honest. I've never seen a corner mirror a wide receiver like Darrelle Revis. It is a joke. That guy should be on Dancing with the Stars too, Revis, at some point down the line, because that dude's hips are ridiculous. So it's crazy just to think that we ended up with Milner and Sheldon Richardson, and everyone's like, oh, what the hell was that for? But now with Geno Smith, that all gets thrown out the window. I'm telling you, because you address the offense with a quarterback. Quarterbacks make everyone better. Look at the Indianapolis Colts. They were 2-14. Then the next year they make the playoffs and win.
But that also goes to a lot of good. They also got a lot of good players.
With
Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton came up big. They also got Colby Fleener, a couple guys. So you saw them kind of turn around. You saw them turn around.
And Geno Smith, he played with receivers like Santonio Holmes and Jeremy Curley. You want to talk Jeremy Curley? He reminds me of Stedman Bailey. Very similar. They're small guys, but they're very good at going up in the air, being balanced, and making catches. That's their forte. Then you look at Tavon Austin. Tavon Austin's very similar to a Holmes in a sense because after the
Curry,
catch,
yeah.
and even Curly at times, but it fits well. Curly reminds me of Bailey a little bit, and then you have Austin that sort of reminds me of Holmes. They take the short one deep. It's a little different. Holmes isn't as shifty necessarily, but he's taller, so I'm telling you, the fit's great. Geno Smith with Holmes and Curly, it just fits. It fits the offense. Geno Smith didn't throw to a tight end at West Virginia. I didn't even know their tight end was. We don't have a tight end. The fit works. He'll throw to guys out of the backfield. And if you look at Tavon Austin, right? At West Virginia, he liked to play out of the backfield a lot. Look at the Jets, the running backs they've brought in. They're guys that like to catch balls out of the backfield. The fit's perfect. Geno Smith at West Virginia ran a West Coast offense. Marty Morningway wants to run a style of a West Coast.
It was a gimmick. It was more of a gimmick offense. It was from that Mike Leach kind of fun and gun rack up as
What
many
does a gimmick
points.
offense mean, though?
Because
don't buy that.
It's a gimmick offense because it's not sure if it can be worked in on the next level or for every team. You got to have the right personnel, and it's a niche offense, so to speak.
Sort of.
What my question about Geno Smith is, we hear guys like what's his name, Colin Cowherd talk about quarterbacks so much, and I don't necessarily agree with Colin all the time, but I think he hit the nail on the head this one. He said he wants his quarterbacks with a chip on their shoulder, guys from non-traditional football powerhouses who didn't have the best receivers to throw to, who didn't have these gimmick offenses to kind of showcase their abilities or highlight certain things that made made them look better on paper. Geno Smith, I think, is that in a nutshell. Not that blue-collar guy. He had great receivers around him. He was from a big program. He was highly touted.
West Virginia is not really a big program.
They went from the Big East. They just joined the Big 12. That's a power conference. Those are two power conferences.
Yeah, but they've
been good for
not
a long
traditional
time. I'm sorry. I'm not going to get
school.
into that argument, but it's for the last 10, 12 years or so, it's been a top 25 perennial program. So that's in that respect, they are a perennial power to that degree. But Geno Smith has all that hype, all those great players around him, and then what? Still couldn't even beat Syracuse in the Pinstripe Bowl. Couldn't even beat Nassib.
Yeah, but he threw against Clemson in a bowl game, threw up 70 points the year before as a junior.
All right, yeah, that's great. A flash in the pan is great. That's awesome. But, here in New York, you're going to bear the elements. You're going to bear the wind. You're going to bear the snow. How is he going to fare in that?
Since when do we judge? But seriously, since when do we judge quarterbacks based on winning bowl games in college? It's tough. You lose one or two games.
But they couldn't even beat Syracuse, is what I'm saying. Syracuse is by no means.
Apparently, they had a pretty good team. They have Nassib, who's highly rated. Justin Pooh, our boy, just went to the Giants in 19. I mean, they have some. You have a great left tackle and a great quarterback. You can win a lot of games in the NFL, and they had the two best in the Big East. So
yeah,
I mean,
but those guys aren't defending Geno Smith on the other side of the ball. Name me I don't know anything about the Syracuse defense. I couldn't tell you anything about that. The point that
interceptions that game.
The point that I'm trying to make is that when you're on that grand scale, you're playing in Yankee Stadium, you're playing on national TV. This is coming up right before the Senior Bowl. Everyone knows that you're Geno Smith and you're going to be a top pick in the draft. And what, you can't even beat Syracuse?
Who would you rather take?
At 39? Well, things fall into a different scenario. I didn't expect him to go defense on the first two picks. So, say what you want about Rex having
only other guy
hands on the reins, but, he said himself, you can't blame this one on me, guys. He said that as a joke in the press conference on whether he is happy the team drafted two defensive players. So, whether that was a joke or not, you kind of read into it for what it is.
I would have only liked Eddie Lacy. Not over Geno, though. I wanted, at 39 right now, it was Geno Smith 1 on my board, on the Frankie V board, yeah. Geno Smith 1, Eddie Lacy's 2. We got the one guy. Eddie Lacy would have been someone else I liked at 39, but he doesn't have the impact of a quarterback. This not only says, Wesley, that we got a quarterback who's going to compete. This says, bye-bye Mark Sanchez. See you later. And speaking of some players last night, or you were speaking with some players last night, I was just, I was beaten up, walking around all over the place. Speaking with them,
just on Papa Molly, you didn't even know it. Papa Molly,
I'm sweating. Woo! But I'm about to pop Molly tonight after this thing.
Hey, it's a celebration. We're gonna pop bottles. We're gonna pour out a little bit.
No, man, the pick's great,
liquor
dude.
for Mark Sanchez. 'Cause that's the end of his reign going on there.
This is for me, and this is for my homies.
Yeah, right.
Mark Sanchez. See ya.
He's on the way out.
Listen, man, I I don't want to come across as me being the biggest Mark Sanchez hater in the world. But there is not a damn comparison in the world right now, body of work of a Geno Smith and a Mark Sanchez. It is not even close. Geno Smith 6'2", 6'2" and 3/8", 6'3". No, but he's tall. He's 6'3".
He's shorter than Bradley, or Barkley.
Moves in the pocket extremely well. He runs a 4.5. And you're talking about a guy I've never seen a quarterback on film. I do a lot of quarterback scouting. I do. You could take it, my opinion, or leave it, whatever. Just what I see. Geno Smith, 10 yards and in, is unbelievable. He's more accurate 10 yards and in, getting the ball out quick in the short field than any quarterback I've ever looked at. That includes RG3. That includes Andrew Luck. That includes Tannehill. That includes Russell Wilson. I mean, I watch game-by-games of all these guys. Every time Geno Smith throws a football, 10 yards are in, 12 yards are in, it is on the money. Team that up with Santonio Holmes, who likes to just get out of a break, catch and run. A Curley, who likes to catch and run.
You add a Travis Kelce in the third round, over the middle. That's
I'm
a
down
great
with
safety
that.
blanket
Or you
for
add Escobar. Escobar's another guy you can get in this draft who's perfect. Geno
Jeff
Smith,
Reed, if you want him there, he could be there as well. I was talking to Chris Nimbley from Jets Insider. Say what you want. I wasn't too high on Jeff Reed, but Chris is a guy who really does his due diligence on all the draft prospects. He loves the NFL draft, loves college football. So this is a guy, he said, after he catches the ball, Jeff Reed turns into Aaron Hernandez with his speed, with his kind of shiftiness and the ability to make guys miss. So he's almost like a receiver in that aspect.
Wait, is his name Jeff Reed?
Jeff Reed, I believe so, yeah.
Wait, I don't know.
Tight end from Florida?
Yeah. It's something. I thought it was something else, Reed.
So whatever.
Whatever it is. Yeah, Reed. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, no,
he reminds me of Aaron Hernandez. Yeah,
so you can see that, and both coming from Florida, so you got a little bit of that aspect there. But kind of moving on and moving back towards D. Milliner. It's just there was a big perception here that the Jets took that to replace Darrelle Revis.
Jordan Reed.
Jordan Reed.
There we
Excuse
go.
me.
That's
Thank
fine.
you. But
you were close with the
Jeff
J.
Reed, yeah, whatever. Jay.
Too many J's last night, Wes.
Oh man, come on.
In the VIP.
It's all almost legal, right?
Kevin Minter, my boy, just got drafted to the Cardinals, by the way.
Oh yeah?
It's a good pick. Their first round pick was the worst pick in the world. The Cardinals had the worst pick ever in NFL draft
Did they
history.
get Kyle Long?
Jonathan Cooper, 7th overall.
I don't think that's too.
Chance Warmack was still on the board.
I agree. I like Chance Warmack.
Unbelievable.
They looked at almost as 1 and 1A, and they
worst draft pick of all time. But Kevin Minter might be a sleeper. Really good draft pick of all time.
Yeah.
That was a good pick by them. But sorry to take you off.
But yeah, John Idzik just completely stomped out any speculation that this had anything to do with in lieu of the Darrelle Revis trade. I'm talking about, of course, of drafting Milliner from Alabama. This is a direct quote from his press conference yesterday. It said, that is wrong. That had nothing to do with this pick. It's purely based on the player. It may be perceived that way, but the reality is D was one of the highest players regardless of our position. And moving on, he said, I got to find it here. He goes, I think that's unfair to D to say that he is replacing Revis. We drafted D because of his talent. We drafted D because we felt like he was the best player on our board at that time. It was not position specific, If you insinuate that, I think it devalues D a little bit. It's pure and simple. He was the best player. So that was definitive answers from the ninja himself, the guy from the League of Shadows who was excommunicated. And I'm not talking about Bane or Batman. I'm talking about John Idzik right there, the ninja himself.
I might be excommunicated from some sort of bar area tonight after this pick.
God, yeah, you're gonna get called the riot police or something.
Happy,
We're gonna
man.
have to have martial law take over to stop you.
Let me ask you something. Who are the best teams in the NFL? The Patriots, quarterback. Packers,
Ravens,
quarterback.
Packers.
Ravens just had a quarterback who couldn't throw an interception if you paid him to. Falcons, quarterback. Geno Smith is
But you can't
a top
call him that. You
2
can't
or 3
call him the
quarterback in this
right
draft.
now. You can't say that. You can't put that comparison on him. We were just talking about Milliner, how it's unfair to put that expectation on him of having.
I'm just saying,
Revis.
Mark Sanchez will never be one of those guys. He won't even be talked about as one of those guys. David Garrard.
He was talking
Can the
about
dude
as
get
one
out
of
of
those
bed?
guys.
Did the dude get out of bed this morning without like a walker?
Well, I hear that one. Right? Without needing a little Ben Gay on his back.
Yeah, McElroy. He's overthinking everything. He thinks he's trying to do like an equation when he says like the safeties he's gonna be 2 yards back, and then they're gonna cut,
he's
and
like
apparently
Matt
at a
Damon in
90-degree
Good Will
angle. Yeah,
Hunting.
he's thinking. Yeah, exactly. He's like thinking,
figuring out the math problems on there.
They need to get Google glasses for McElroy and see like what he's thinking like when they say hike. Like, he's like, no, the picks here, and then
what was he doing? One more time. What was he doing?
like, no, the X is here, and then it's a 90-degree angle, and they're like, oh, I gotta throw it here, like, but whatever. No, I like McElroy. He's a cool guy, but he doesn't get rid of the football. He got sacked 12 times against San Diego. That was embarrassing.
I'm not so sure if the offensive line was entirely behind him on that one.
Hey, it's your job to throw the ball. If you can't throw the ball, then what the hell are you playing for? You'd rather have put Curley at quarterback, and he could run the ball. At least he'll not lose 7 yards of play. But man, come on, Wes. We just got Geno Smith, man. How are you not excited?
I'm not
the number one quarterback on Mike Mayock's board.
He's
the
got
number one
small
quarterback
hands.
on Mel Kiper's board. I hate Mel Kiper, but he's not always
He's got
wrong.
small hands.
He's got small hands.
Probably smells like cabbage. That's not something I want. What's the one thing that they ingrain in all NFL defenders nowadays? Not just hit the player, not just to tackle the player with the ball, but to hit the ball when they knock them out, to jar the ball loose, to get these forced fumbles, to get these strip sacks.
Hey, he'll fumble.
That's what everyone
He'll fumble,
gets.
but he's not going to throw
Well, what does that mean?
interceptions.
What does that mean?
It's a
And right
turnover
now
game.
you don't. You have a.
He is fumble prone. I agree with you.
You don't know how that
But he's
right
not-
side is going to be.
But he's not interception prone. He only had 6
I'll tell you
interceptions
what,
to
right
42
now.
touchdowns
And
last year.
And that's great. That's absolutely awesome. But you know what? Without Brandon Moore right there, I'm starting to question what Austin Howard's going to look like on that end. He's going to be put out on an island with himself because right now your starting right guard is Vlad Dukas. I'm going to repeat it again. Your starting right guard is Vlad Dukas. Okay, so you're leaving Austin Howard, who had a pretty good year. Nothing to really hang your head low on.
Promising year.
It was a good year. It was an all right year. But now you're sticking him out on that island with Dukas on him. And how's that right side going to look for whoever is going to be playing quarterback for that team? I'm telling you, you better call up Brandon Moore, sign him, give him some money. You just saved $5 million in cap space by restructuring Ferguson's deal. That's supposedly supposed to go money to Chris Ivory, but I'm saying you put Ivory on hold, you put that on hold for a second, and you call up Brandon Moore and you say, Brandon, I'm sorry, I miss you, I love you, we need you. You don't have to come to training camp. You don't have to come to OTAs. Get your hips ready because we know you got those golden retriever hips. Come back and block that strong side, that face side for whoever is going to be playing quarterback for us this year.
Wes, just check me out right here.
You're chilling.
You know why I'm chilling?
You're lamping.
Lamping.
Oh.
Because John Idzik, the ninja himself, is going to figure this whole thing out. This guy, John Idzik, I have never loved a GM more than this guy. And when he came in, I was like, well, he's a cap guy because he did deal with a lot of cap things. And
Well,
I
and we
questioned.
didn't really know anything about him. That was all we kind of
Exactly,
heard.
but I questioned a lot of his scouting because he didn't have a big scouting history. But the guy knows how to find people underneath him that make things happen. That's what it's about. John Idzik, there's no doubt that he has scouts in that organization that he knows exactly what's going on, and he runs a tight ship. It's about time the Jets run a tight ship, a la Coughlin's, a la Belichick's. This guy did a great move, man, in terms of maybe we got lucky. We might have gotten lucky because if Geno Smith went and then we ended up getting, let's say, I don't know, a guard, I don't know, Malik Watson or something like that, like we would have been saying, oh my God, this draft sucks. But we got lucky though. Geno Smith fell at 39. We really did. If you look at teams that could have gotten Geno, like the Jaguars, why are you getting Jonathan Cyprin's good? I think he's overrated personally, but why are you getting him 33? You don't have a quarterback. Then you have. I guess no other team. I mean, the Titans wouldn't have got one, even though they could. But you have some teams. The Eagles, Zach Ertz, I think is really good, but maybe they wanted to get Geno Smith, have Vic come out after a year. The fact that Geno Smith fell to 39 is unbelievable. I think we got lucky, man, and I think this pick is gonna really, really set us, set us on the top, man.
When was the last time that you seen a number 2?
Gavin Escobar
or
just went to the Cowboys.
Oh, so you crossed him off the board. I mean,
that's it.
Kelsey's still
Damn
on there.
it.
You got Kelsey and Vance McDonald, so Jets, go do what you got to do and get after him.
Yep.
But what we're looking at, I think, is when is the last time that you've seen a second-round pick that's as popular as Geno Smith is going to be coming in, right?
Yeah, it's true.
He's going to be very interesting to see how he comes in.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. And then just to get back on Sheldon Richardson real quick, I mean, this is a guy, Milner's getting a lot of attention, of course, because of Rivas. Geno Smith, of course, is going to garner a lot of attention with hopefully being the quarterback of the future. We'll see what happens there. But Sheldon Richardson is, I think, the key cog in this draft here. This was a guy who was, like you said, top 5 on many respected guys' draft boards here. And he was able to grab him at 13, and you put him in, who's a guy who played in the 4-3. He played in the 3-4 at the nose tackle. He's even played a little linebacker. He stood up. You can put this guy all over the field. You hear? I'm just gonna go through some quotes here, if you excuse me for a moment, on what made Richardson stand out from other available defensive players. That was the question, and I believe it was Jeff Bauer. Is that his name? I don't know why I'm calling everyone Jeff today.
Yeah,
But
he's the head of. He's the director of college.
Yeah,
scouting.
there we go. He says it's the athletic ability. He's going to change direction is uncanny. We were talking, and I don't know if we've seen a defensive tackle this athletic. We couldn't think of one. They had him play linebacker against A&M one game and stand up. You'll see a special athlete. His athletic ability, his balance, it's special. I think that's something that you gotta.
That's a great way. Balance.
Take into it. You can play him all over, and the fact that you can have 3 interchangeable pieces like the Giants had when you had OC, Tuck, and JPP. I'll even throw in Matthias Kiwanuka in there when he wasn't injured. That is a formidable front. And if you're going to be replacing that back end where you don't know how those safeties are going to be, you might have to shade a little more coverage over Milner's direction, or whether it's Wilson who's the second corner. You might have to shed some more over the top help that way. Now that you don't have Rivas, what's the best way to help a influx defensive backfield? Get after the passer.
I'm
talking about sacks on sacks on sacks.
You're damn
sacks
right.
On sacks on sacks.
Sheldon Richardson.
Sexual healing here. See how many sexual puns I can come up with in the past. I don't know. I've already lost it. We're gonna move on.
Sheldon Richardson. Before we move on, and we're gonna show you guys the our draft party video in about 30 seconds. Woo! But Sheldon Richardson as a pick at 13 was awesome. Why? The one word that Mr. Jeff Bauer, Director of College Scouting, shout-outs, the one word he used, which is defining this team, is balance. Bauer said balance. It's so true. Wilkerson's a balanced defensive end. Copel's balanced. You have Sheldon Richardson balanced. Curley, balanced player. Now you have a Geno Smith. Talk about a guy when you watch him play, it's so smooth. Everything's balanced. He's not flopping all over the place.
The running game looks a lot better. You got Mike Goodson, who's a speed guy. Bilal Powell, who's a little bit of, can block and catch out of the backfield, can hit the hole. 4 yards of carry last year. Joe McKnight, another speed guy. Whoever you bring in afterwards.
We have a caller.
We got a caller. I believe it's Jake Steinberg. Jake, are you there? Is that you? Hello. Are you there?
Que pasa?
Is he?
Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee. No, we're not there. We're going to move on. We're moving on with it. We can't hear you. Please call again if we'd love to hear your opinions. If it's Jake Steinberg, definitely call back too because we love hearing from you as well. But we're going to
Le'Veon Bell went to Pittsburgh.
Le'Veon Bell goes to Pittsburgh.
The Giants are on the clock. No one cares.
10 bust at running back, but we're going to go right now.
Are you out of your mind?
How
do you come on a draft show and have the balls to say that Geno Smith is not ideal at 39 and Le'Veon Bell's a top 10 bust? You are crazy.
I wear linen shorts.
You
so my balls
crazy,
don't get
dude.
Hot, man. I'm not crazy. I'm cool.
You have idiots like the Panthers.
Level head.
You get teams like the Giants. Get Jonathan Jenkins. You know who the hell is that? Is he? I mean, they have Le'Veon Bell going. Le'Veon Bell's awesome. That's a great pick. Eddie Lacy, by the way, is still on the board. I have no idea why. And he's.
I think. I'm sorry to cut you off. I think we got another call coming in. Hopefully, this one works out for us. You're on the line with Flight 5 Live. What's going on?
What's going on, guys? It's Steiny. How are you?
What's going on, Steiny? How you doing, man?
What's up, baby? How you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing great. We're going to hop right into it. What do you think about Geno Smith at
Steiny, do you like this picture we posted of you, man? You G.
Which of the Family Guy one?
No, we posted
this is
your profile pic on Facebook.
Man.
You like it?
Yeah, you're cheesing with some hottie.
Dude, you're doing work at Wisconsin, aren't you?
I appreciate. I didn't even see that. I don't have the computer. That's so
you're dipping into the honey, you little badger.
You should have been at the event last night. Your dad was at the event, man.
Yeah, your dad represented the Steinbergs very well. He was great. He was a great time. He was awesome. Kicking it in the VIP lounge.
Was amazing. I just want to congratulate you guys. I heard it was a great success, and I'm very disappointed I couldn't be there, but I'm looking forward to making it out over the summer.
Absolutely. We'll do a college trip up in Wisconsin. Me, Wesley, Nick, and we'll bring that kid Era so he can freestyle in front of people, and we'll get a cipher going.
Oh man, imagine the chicks.
Anytime.
What do you think of the pick,
But,
dude?
You know what? Honestly, I'm surprised. I was on record, for a while saying I didn't think they were taking quarterback early. Clearly that was not the case, and we'll see. I think Schefter just put out a report that they're considering releasing Sanchez, and he said in the thing, he said that they view David Garrard as a perfect mentor to
I could
Geno
see that.
Smith, which makes a lot of sense. And he said that the view in the organization for Tebow has changed a lot. He said he came in 15 pounds lighter. The organization really, favors him now. And so who knows? Maybe he'll stay. And then obviously, you still have McElroy there and Sims. Sims doesn't really count. He's not going to be there much longer. But I mean, it's I'm surprised, but at the same time, this is it's this world, and we're just living in it. So.
Well, that's great to kind of sum it up. But, to kind of harp on a point that you just said, you said Tim Tebow lost 15 pounds, which I think is something that's huge. A lot of people talk to him being too bulky to be able to actually do any damage on the ground, or maybe he couldn't even throw any better with that extra weight on his arm. But that's going to be interesting to see, and I love the point that you said about Garrard being a mentor there. I never really thought about that as well. But going in the first-round selection, what did you think of Milner and Richardson at 9 and 13?
Yeah, I think just to start off with Milner, I think that's a really solid pick. I'm not sure if he's going to come in right away, be a Pro Bowl player, and I don't think it's fair to compare him to Revis. That's
Absolutely.
Number one. I think that it's too much pressure for the kid coming in.
It is.
Let
It is.
Let him play. Let him do his own thing, and to compare. But obviously, if the Jets were taking cornerback in the first round, they knew those expectations were going to come. So, but realistically, I think you plug him in next to Cromartie, and I think that the Jets organization, they view Kyle Wilson as more of a nickel anyway. So you plug him in there, and that's perfect. That's where he feels comfortable. That's where he succeeded at succeeded in Colts, but that's where I guess he had the most success when he was Revis was healthy at the nickel. So and I actually heard last night. I don't know how possible this is accurate, but I heard that this could mean that the Jets might trade Cromartie by the deadline, or actually cut him, to save some cap at the end of the season. So that's something just to keep in mind. I know a lot of people, might not agree with that or whatever, but that's something from pretty reliable source that I heard is, that's a possibility. I think it, right now it's obviously Cromartie and D, and we'll see where that takes us.
Do you think Cromartie as a leader is lacking in that locker room? I mean, do you think that hurts his value as a player? Because we were having a conversation the other day, Jake. I was talking, with Nick and Bill about this, and we were saying, Cromartie's awesome on the field, but sort of off the field, he doesn't seem like he can lead. It sort of seems like he's lacking in that area. He's kind of a clown.
Yeah, I mean, I can just tell you from what I know and what I've talked to Ellis Langster about, and he's told me straight up that Cromartie has really taught him he's a leader. They break down film together.
Wow.
And this off season, Cromartie took him in and they trained together all off season. He took him under his wing, and that's something that really helps Ellis. So realistically speaking, I understand where you're coming from, but from the player's perspective, I really do believe that they like Cromartie as a leader. And same thing with Revis. I think they were all upset to see Revis go, because every single one of them, from a practice squad cornerback to Cromartie, Revis was a true leader and same kind of thing. But as soon as Revis went down last year, Cromartie stepped up. Team meetings, he would go over the plays, go over film, and Tim McDonald is really leaning on him, the new defensive back coach, because if you look at the Jets cornerback situation, they have a lot of raw young talent in there. I mean, Darren Walls, Langster, Crocker, Royce Adams, Trufant. I mean, Trufant's actually 30, he's not exactly young, but the bulk of the guys, I think that they need attention, and they need some tutoring, some learning. So I think that it's really good, to have Cromartie in there.
All right, Steiny, we thank you for calling in. We hate to call this cut this conversation a little short, but we got a great video to kind of wrap it up. So we hope you can see it, live vicariously through your dad a little bit, and yeah, we'll go to the Twitter segment. We also make a little spotlight there too, so definitely catch the last end of our show. But we thanks again for always dropping some knowledge on us, Steiny.
All right, I was just texted. Is Geno Smith Italian? Now he is coming to New York with all the paisans right. In Jet Nation. He's officially Italian, Geno Smith.
But if you guys missed this U Stadium NFL awesome. Draft
Geno,
event,
man.
it was a great thing that came out. We had a great time that coming out. And if you happen to miss it, we got this great video here that our buddy Kenny, a.k.a. That Kid Era, a.k.a. Ken Bias, a.k.a. Mr. Illington,
a.k.a.
put together for us. And absolutely, we'll see it going right here. So see what you guys missed out on if you weren't be able to hear for it. Western Side, here with 5 and Live, kicking everything off. We got a great event going on in New York City. I'm having a good time. I'm kicking it with That Kid Era. Let's go.
Yo, first of all, who you want to pick tonight?
Bingo.
Yeah.
I'll pick Bingo first, second, and third round. What's going on? We got some players going on here. We have an app that's getting released. We have a little bit of an open bar. I mean, who are some of the guys that we have coming through?
Who you want the Jets to draft, though, for real?
I want EJ Manuel. That's the only guy I want. EJ Manuel. Let's go.
I want Leon Sandcastle, dude.
I love Geno Smith.
You want Geno Smith?
Yeah. Your catch is good.
Geno. No Geno.
Very hard, Jets fans. Who we picking yet? Hopefully a quarterback. We sure have Leon. That's right. The New York Jets select D. Miller. The New York Jets select Sheldon Richardson.
What are your immediate thoughts, immediate impressions?
You know what? I can't say I know too much about this kid. The Sheldon Richardson pick tells me that this team doesn't have a clue moving forward what to do on offense. It also tells me that Rex Ryan is still very involved in this team. D. Milliner, he should have went at 13 though, to be honest. What's his name? Robinson?
Sheldon Richardson.
Sheldon Richardson. I don't like the pick, honestly.
I hope they got more than 6 wins this year, right?
I don't think they're going to have 6 wins this year, and I'll be honest with you. They're probably going to have empty stands, and if I get a chance to see one of those ticket reps, I'll probably break their head wide open.
Give a little muscle for the camera. Show off the muscle. There we go.
As you guys don't like to check picks, we can tell we're a little bottle of Mario and Finest Geno.
Man, that event, Wes, was unbelievable. Seriously, like I was saying this before. You know what? You know what the event was to me? It's like, you know when you party with people that are from the same town as you, it almost gets a little too towny. Like it's like you know everyone, so like it's really not interesting at a point because you know everyone. But then when you go somewhere to a bar or something or an event where you don't know anyone, it's kind of like, well, who am I talking to?
Right.
This was the perfect mix because you knew people, and then the people that you kind of knew, you knew from Twitter, so you introduced yourself to like people, and they like told you their Twitter handle, so you got to meet them. Everyone's a Jet fan, like like people based on just. You see tweets with them and stuff, and like it was just awesome, like a perfect mix of both.
It's like meeting new people that you already know. Like the comparison I just said, you got some of it. Sometimes it's a little too hot, it's a little too low, but this was like Mama Bear's porridge. It was just right. And with that, we're gonna go to the tweeter. All right, and we go tweet number 1. And this is from Anthony DeMoro. We got that up on the screen here. It says Rex Ryan doesn't draft well. Past years show that. If New York Jets rebuild, you need to take the reins from him. Well, I got news for you, Anthony DeMoro. He is not the general manager. It's the ninja, the excommunicated from the League of Shadows guy himself. John Idzik.
And for all the people out there that think that Rex Ryan is the one calling the shots drafting here, he's not. John Idzik has a big board, and he takes the best player available. That was the Milner
discussions.
That was the probably not.
I think so. You're a head coach, man. Like
I
Bill
doubt
Parcells,
it. Not anymore.
If you want him to cook the dinner, at least let him buy the groceries,
You're
man.
talking
Come
about
on.
Bill Parcells. You're not talking about.
I'm talking about every head coach is how it should be. But we're going to move on to number 2. I believe this is coming from Steiny31. So it said in their mock drafts, Kuiper was 2 for 32 and McShay was 1 for 32. Glad people pay to see their mocks. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Those are our Mark Sanchez-esque numbers right there, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Tim Tebow. Just Jet quarterbacks in general over the last year. But we're going to go on number 3.
The Patriots just picked.
Who'd they
Pats
take?
just got Bill's boy, Jamie Collins.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Where
is Bill, by the way? Does anyone know?
MIA.
Yeah, whatever.
As far as I know.
All right. All right. So, what's our next tweet, Wes?
We
Tweet
got
numero
number 3
cuatro.
at Sports Yenta. So it says, if we take a QB, are we taking them to start to compete with Mark Sanchez, Garrard, or McElroy? I almost said McShay there. Who are they throwing to? These are all great answers, and I don't think that he's going to come in and start right away. Maybe you see him start towards the end of the season if Garrard, Tebow, Sanchez, McElroy, one of the above, cannot get the job done. But I don't think you want to put Geno Smith in that position and put that type of expectations on him to come out and carry this team from the get-go.
Geno Smith is better than David Garrard was ever, and better than Mark Sanchez could dream of, or play Madden with himself on rookie. He's just that good. That's how good Geno Smith is, man. It's the real deal. I love it's my favorite draft pick in my whole New York existence. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a Yankee fan. I don't know the baseball draft, so maybe that doesn't count. But I'm a Knicks fan and I'm a Jet fan. That was the best pick that a New York team has ever done. Ever in the history of New York, in my lifetime, because I don't want to talk about guys that were in the 80s, early 80s and 70s.
What are you talking about?
Patrick Ewing never won a ring, the
lottery.
hottie. But
that's true.
Yeah, I love the Geno Smith pick. It's going to be something, I'm telling you guys, down the line we're going to say that was one hell of a draft and a pick. John Idzik, turn the tides, the ninja himself, let's get it.
We'll see. We'll go on to the tweet number 4 here, and this is coming from C. Alvarez, 45. If the Jets draft Geno, which they did, that's mad dumb. I bet he does better than Mark Sanchez, but won't start because the Jets are retarded. I have one word for you, my friend. Retarded is spelled R-E-T-A-R-D-E-D. That's more than one word, but had to be said nonetheless. Check your spelling before you go talking some ish on some people there. But
yeah, you're wrong, dude, by the way.
Last tweet, number 5, at T-Lags25. I believe I can read my own writing. Thank you, Brick, for restructuring your deal. Yes, we thank you, Brick, for being a team player. This guy never causes any trouble in the locker room, never creates any headlines. This guy just comes in, does his job, blocks Mark Sanchez's blind side. And what, he's going to make $850,000 this year?
He only gave up 1 sack last year.
Yeah, after a so-so year before. But this guy has come in at the number 4 overall pick and has been rock solid.
You know what? We should
Brick.
think about, you know why I think we did that? Because the ninja himself knows that Geno Smith's going to come in, and he might just give him a contract like Aaron Rodgers just got. The 110 million.
Yeah.
Just give it to him. $100 million.
rain.
Geno Smith tonight, wherever he is, bro, make it rain. Don't drink too much because it affects your physical ability.
Yeah, we know Pac-Man Jones is from your alma mater there. Don't go making it rain.
Jet fans, we are turning the tide with Geno Smith. I'm pumped. Thanks to everyone who came out to the U Stadium draft event at the sister network of Flight 5. We had a great time out there. We're trying to set something up at MetLife so we can have a similar crew join together. We're working on some things with that. Hopefully we get something going at the stadium.
Bringing
because,
great
listen,
things to you.
There's not. I had so much fun just like not even talking to people there, just like the vibe in the place. You know when you just feel the good vibe.
Yeah.
It was a great
an
vibe.
electric vibe. It really was.
I mean,
it really was.
and how there was there was a ton of cute girls there, which you don't really get with a football crowd often. I mean, most of the time it's a
check
football
out the
draft.
photos. The photos we're going to bring up on the
and
website.
Then the cutest guy in the building was there.
Yeah, that's
Drew
myself.
from Jersey.
Oh
yeah.
To me like that, you're going to talk to myself. Drew was actually a lot shorter in person than I thought. For some reason, I thought he was like 6'5" from his Twitter avatar. I don't know why, but whatever. We're going to make it rain.
Damn, he's about to yoke you out, bro.
We're doing Geno Smith stuff.
Shout outs to Jet Nation. Tides are turning, man.
Yeah, no more bad stuff. Good news. Good news all around.
Peace out.